Very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe. Masquera say, Masquera say, Masquera say. So, news developing in the nation of Zimbabwe, as well as the SADC, says that President Hakainde Hichilema has responded to Varakashi Brigade, and it's becoming interesting on what is really happening. Because remember, Varakashi have been all over calling President Hakainde Hichilema a Western puppet. And it's good that we go to this response. Let me post it right here onto the screen so that we get to know what he had to say. So let me play
the regional agenda in the correct way on economic. As the current chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security and cooperation, Zambia will contribute to the regional agenda in the correct way on economic integration, enhancing growth in our individual economies. Zambia is part of the pack of nations, civilized nations, calling each other names when we are solving a problem created by colleagues, and the names are being called by those who created the problem. It is called an abnormality. That's what we call it.
So this is the development team Zimbabwe. This is what President Hakainde Hichilema said in response to ZANU PF Varakashi Brigade. So it has become a norm to this group to actually attack anybody who differs with them. Vanonzi vanandingoveni. Skanzi panapa ED and crew forgot that they don't have RG Mugabe's stature. RG was regarded as a father by most regional leaders. Even when they disgraced with him, they highly regarded him. Even when they disagreed with him, they highly regarded him. With ED, they would take him on. They are better advised to be careful and diplomacy because they can get more isolated quickly. This never happened with Bob, even when he took Zimbabwe. This is what President Hakainde Hichilema actually said. So I'm going to play it for the second time for the sake of my network. Sometimes it's not disappointing when playing videos. Let me play it for the second time.
As the current chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security and cooperation, Zambia will contribute to the regional agenda in the correct way on economic integration, enhancing growth in our individual economies, regional and African economy. Madam Speaker, Zambia is part of the pack of nations, civilized nations, calling each other names when we are solving a problem created by colleagues, and the names are being called by those who created the problem. It's not logic. It is not normal. It is called an abnormality. That's what we call it.
So this is it in Zimbabwe, and Zambia is clear that they are not going to side with irregularities, especially in the region. So Panapanzina Tyson, Mnangagwa fooled himself by the word go. Thank you very much for the contribution, Tyson. Okay, now LZ, the guilty are always afraid and aggressive. Yes, I do agree with you there. So Team Zimbabwe, in my view, no matter the disagreements we have, ZANU-PF Varakashi must show restraint. They must behave as people. Because if you take a look on how they behave, they behave as abnormalities. They behave as if they don't even think for themselves. That is not normal. Honestly speaking, in HH's voice, that is not normal. Vanhu veZANU-PF vanotarisa vanhu vakadyiswa kana kuti vakaroiwa nemunhu akafa. Unoziva kuti kana wakaroiwa nemunhu akafa hapasina munhu achauya kuzokuroyenora. Okay, hanzi nakudzai mutisi, let us know when those fantasies come true. There's nothing that will happen. More so from that weak Zambian guy. He is the one isolated, not ED. Watch and learn. Okay. Kudzai Mutisi here is a ZANU-PF from Varakashi. This is what he believes in. He believes that HH is isolated. But from the look of things, Zambia is doing quite well. Zambia is actually progressing as each day passes. But where is Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe is becoming more isolated as each day passes. So honestly speaking, ZANU-PF people must understand how things work. They must understand that propaganda will not save us. They must understand that hatred will not save us. What will save us is the ability to agree on what is going wrong in the nation of Zimbabwe so that we correct it. No country is perfect politically, but Zimbabwe has become abnormal. So, Hans Panapa, what fantasies Mkoma? I just said a video and said this would have never happened during Araji's time. I'm sure you agree with that. Okay. Actually, the person who needs friends is Hichilema. His party is the one that is not trusted by SALM, a committee of former liberation movements. So a committee of former liberation movements does not work. We have movements akawanda emadhara. Vanotibatsirei? Vari kutibatsira chipi because they have deviated from the principles of the liberation struggle. If you ask anybody about the principles of the liberation struggle, you will find out that they've moved from the liberation struggle principles. Saka isisu tiri kuti chi? Tiri kuti muZimbabwe nemu-Africa, what was being fought for is no longer being followed. So you'd see that we need to move from this embarrassing stature and start to find ourselves. We have to agree as Zimbabweans on how to move this country forward. We have to make sure that we start to build Zimbabwe and the continent. Zimbabwe cannot continue to lag behind because of some people who believe in themselves. We can't be held hostage. Who will never agree with anyone else except themselves. So Anzi and HH forgot that it doesn't have UN stature, considering that UN Secretary General just overruled his little kangaroo court by congratulating the incumbent President Mnangagwa. As I said, Vanarutendo, sometimes they fail to understand things. SADC does have an obligation to make sure that the rules and regulations of SADC are followed. They are not bound by UN. SADC is a regional body. It can step in, solve the problem, and UN will comply. At this moment in time, there is no official position from SADC as regard to the political situation, there is a report from the observer mission. That report has to be looked into by SADC, and the chair and his team will look into that report. After looking into that report, they will they'll make a decision, call for an extraordinary agent summit or an emergency summit, then discuss this issue. So one way or the other, Zimbabwe will have to go through SADC for this to be concluded. Without that, Zimbabwe has violated the principles which guide elections within the SADC region, and that must be resolved. SADC itself as a body must look into this matter and agree that was the SADC principle and guidelines, were they violated or not. They will have to look into this matter so that the nation progresses, so that the region progresses. There is hostility from the region. There is hostility from the continent. That should be resolved by sitting down of SADC. Whatever outcome which is going to come out from SADC, nobody knows. It's a matter of speculation. But ZANU-PF Varakashi are already running around, throwing tantrums and dismissing SADC and its efforts. So it will not work that way. Anzi Mwanawasa and Kama did the same number on Mugabe and failed. Hichilema is just making the same mistake, in my view. Okay, Suganze, you just reminded me of Mwanawasa, but let's agree on one thing. RG cast a huge shadow, and it was hard to just take him on. Mwanawasa said Lipas on, but Kama was the one who didn't have respect for Bob in that way. Okay, so it is what it is in Zimbabwe. Let us take a look. We need to take a look on what is happening in the current Zimbabwe in general. We will continue to do so and make sure that we have a conversation regarding the challenges and problems we have in the nation of Zimbabwe. So thank you very much, everybody, for the comments and programs. Please let us know so that we'll bring you over to this platform. So it is what it is in Zimbabwe. Let us end it here and see how things are going to unfold in the nation of Zimbabwe from now going forward.